So as I stand here in the Capitol Rotunda and I look at the paintings and everything so historic in this room, I love to come in this room and just reflect on what has been our country. And, I look at General George Washington, and I look at the surrender of Lord Cornwallis, and I see a statue of Abraham Lincoln. And I think about all of the ways that these people, these patriots, were willing to not just risk everything that they had materially in life, but risk the last beat of their heart, the last breath of their lungs, the last thought in their mind for America, for this dream, this idea that they call America. And I reflect on this after hearing the speech of President Biden yesterday in his first year in office, and his unwillingness to apologize for putting America last at every turn. And as somebody willing to risk their life for this country, almost gave my life for this country, that to me is very literally a heartbreaking thing. I look at the POW MIA flag, and I think about that, and I think about our 50 stars and our 13 red and white stripes, those that served time in wartime captivity and everything that they gave. And what does that flag mean to us? And to me, the flag, the 50 stars and the 13 red and white stripes, means that when I wake up in this country, I get to decide that today is better than yesterday, or it's not. It doesn't matter if I lost 2 legs yesterday. I get to decide that tomorrow is a better day, a better week, a better month, a better year. And that's the opportunity that Americans always get to hold on to. In China, under the Chinese Communist Party, they don't have that opportunity. Uyghur Muslims, others there that live under communist rule, they don't get to wake up and decide that today is better than yesterday. It's not their opportunity. The children in Afghanistan, the young girls that once they hit the age of 6, 7 years old can no longer be educated or go out in the workforce or be teachers or other things, they don't have that opportunity to decide that today is better than yesterday. But we have that in America, and it's an amazing and an incredible responsibility that unfortunately President Biden has failed to support and live up to. And I could point to all of these places in his speech where he purposely made the statement that he's exceeding the expectations of those in our country about the way that he's led this country, when the fact of the matter is he's admitting nothing, he's denying everything, and he's making a counter accusation to what is really going on in the United States of America. America's energy is last. We went from a situation where in the last presidential election and the debates, one of the things that struck me was I didn't hear a question asked about America's dependence upon foreign oil. It was the first time that I can remember in my life not hearing a question about America's dependence upon foreign oil. And you see the inputs, the prices of fuel being low, which means if we want to buy a Florida orange or get some Florida orange juice from the grocery store, that it costs that much less. But now we have the opposite of that going on, where America's energy is being put last. And we see that starting right at the pump, which matters to every single one of us, simply as we try to go out there and go to work, get to our job, go to the grocery store or somebody else, but get all of those things that are in the grocery store into the store, making the price right at that one level immediately higher because it costs that much more just to get it from A to B. That's putting America's energy last, which is putting America's economy last, which is putting America's households last, because we have to go out there and get that product off the shelf that costs that much more, because now all of a sudden America has backtracked to reverting back to having a dependence upon the energy of other countries. And that is one of the problems that we face in America Last policies. When we look at what's gone on through COVID-19, and I sit in this room again, and I look at the Declaration of Independence, and I look at the Constitution, and I think of what was risked by those that put their names, beneath these documents, and again, their willingness to sacrifice everything. For what? What is it that's worth sacrificing everything for? And I think the one word that comes to mind for anybody is freedom. Freedom is that one thing that is worth giving your life for, is worth me giving my life for. If I would have left this world, my wife would have said that it was without regret because of what I was fighting for. But we see this world right now of Americans' freedom being last. When it comes to vaccine mandates, or you're going to get kicked out of the military. Vaccine mandate, or you're going to lose your job. Vaccine mandate, or you can't go to the school that you want. Vaccine mandate, or you can't go into the places that you want to go into. Americans' freedom is being put last, and COVID-19 is the excuse that's being used to go out there and take your freedom and put it in the back of the line. And again, President Biden on his 1-year anniversary defending putting America's freedom last and trying to sell it as though he's doing us all a favor by taking away our opportunity to make our own decisions. That's not what America is all about. We are fundamentally about independence and knowing that we're grown-ups. We can make our own decisions and decide to make good or bad decisions and live out the consequences of those decisions. But that is the opportunity that we are guaranteed as Americans. Our outcomes are never guaranteed. Our opportunity is always guaranteed. That is what this country has to always be about. And that's what President Biden does not realize fundamentally. But he was happy to defend taking away those freedoms. And as we continue and we look around what has happened in this administration, and again, him talking about his first year, saying that he makes no apologies for what went on with the withdrawal from Afghanistan, the pissing away of 20 years of blood, sweat, and tears of my friends, of the Gold Star families that saw their loved ones leave this world buried in those beautiful row after row of markers in Arlington National Cemetery. No apology for those 13 that were killed in the withdrawal from Afghanistan, an unwillingness to recognize that you could do something different. To go out there and say, you know what, if the plan was that this was guaranteed to happen, that we were guaranteed to lose people, they were guaranteed to have to retreat from our embassies, guaranteed to have to retreat from our air bases, guaranteed to have to retreat to places that were undefensible, if that was what his game plan was moving into it, his strategy and tactics led him to believe moving into it, then it was not a policy and not a strategy that they should have moved into. But we know that that wasn't the case. We know that the entire basis of withdrawing from Afghanistan wasn't based upon putting America's security first. It was based upon getting Americans out of Afghanistan so that he could have a celebration on the anniversary of September 11. Not trying to reach a strategic objective based upon what's best for American security, but going out there and making a moment in front of a camera. Again, putting America's security last. And what did that cost us? It cost us the precious lives of my brothers and sisters in arms. And an unwillingness to apologize for that. An unwillingness to acknowledge that it could have been done better, that it could have been done differently. That is inexcusable in and of itself. If there was nothing else that happened in this year, in this first year of presidency, that in and of itself is inexcusable. And you see that continuing with his comments about the Ukraine and putting America's allies last. And saying, well, a minor incursion, that's going to be different than a major incursion, as though there's any incursion of one nation's sovereignty that's okay whatsoever. As though there's any incursion by Putin and Russia into the Ukraine that's considered an acceptable policy. This is a Chamberlain-like policy out of President Biden, and we've come to see that kind of weakness out of him. It's not surprising to see that kind of weakness when we talk about the borders of other nations like the Ukraine, when we see him putting America's border last. America's border has been put last since day one. Yesterday he spoke about 1 year in office. His day one policies for America's border was this: end the construction of the physical security, the border wall, to prevent people from illegally coming into the United States of America. Now in South Florida, all of the communities across our home, not all of them, but a vast number of the communities across our home, they're gated communities. They have gates, they have fences around them. And how many communities can say when one of those gates or one of those fences don't work, that they reach out to the security company, or they reach out to the HOA or the property manager, somebody else saying, hey, what's going on with that gate? Why is that one little thing, that gate at the driveway entrance to those neighborhoods, why is that not working? What's happening there? But we're not talking about the gate to a neighborhood. We're talking about the border of an entire nation and the unwillingness to secure that border against all of the threats that exist from people coming across without knowing who they are. America's security last, America's border last. They weren't testing the people that were coming over for coronavirus, but they were putting them on buses, sending them across state to state to state, to include the state of Florida. They weren't checking to see, did somebody come across there, come from the continent of Africa, and they were carrying Ebola? That's not something that they were looking for. We've seen you could call a pandemic of sorts, a pandemic of human trafficking on America's southern border because of what is allowed to happen with putting America's security last, allowing those donkeys to operate, bringing people across that border, but as they're doing so, using it as an opportunity to sex traffic all of the young girls and boys coming across that border that are moving through country and country, using that as an opportunity to do that by the fault of America's border policy, using it as an opportunity to bring fentanyl and other drugs across our border, enough fentanyl in the United States of America today to kill every single American. That's the problem that we see in putting America's security last and America's border last, that unwillingness to make a safe country. And then it goes beyond that. We have people in our own community that have seen the loss of their husband, of their spouses, of their fathers, of their parents, to the hand of people in America illegally. An ambulance driver killed, a paramedic ambulance driver killed by the hand of a drunk illegal immigrant that struck their vehicle. As one example, a preventable death could have been prevented by securing our border, by not letting people into the United States of America illegally. As one example, you think of all those angel families and the fact that those that they mourn didn't have to be lost if we could have secured that border. These policies make a difference. And so I look at the speech of Joe Biden, and I look at everything that he spoke about, and again, and I think about everything that I see in our amazing Capitol day in, day out, and the opportunity that's reflected in the statues and the faces and the stories that we see here in Statuary Hall, and what's reflected in our Declaration of Independence and our Constitution and all those things that are enshrined to us, and what we see when we see our 50 stars and 13 red and white stripes. And I say, Joe Biden does not represent any of that. He represents a failure to recognize that America is a unique and special place that is worth defending, worth securing, worth making more powerful, because the more powerful America is, the more emboldened freedom is across the globe, because that is what we used to stand up for above all. That's what I risked my life for. That's what I talked to Afghanis about. That's worth fighting for, and it's worth fighting for, number one, at home, for the people that we have the honor of being their representative government of. And so to President Biden, I would say this to you. By the system that we have in place, you are afforded 3 more years to be the President of the United States of America. America cannot afford 3 more years of what you've done in your first year of putting America last. My pleading with you, change direction, reverse course. Do what you said you would do in your inauguration speech. You said you would make mistakes, but you would acknowledge them and you would correct them. Your speech yesterday was anything but an acknowledgement of the mistakes that you made. And it was everything to be an offer to double down and make a continuation of all of those mistakes that we've just discussed. America is owed more. Our history, our ancestors are owed more. Our people are owed more. What we offer to the world is owed more than what you have given in this first year. It's in that's how I surmise President Biden's first year in office. It is an honor to represent you all in our Capitol, to represent our state and our community. It's an amazing place, and you are an amazing group of people that I believe deserve the freedom, as I talked about it with our flag, to go out there every day and decide that today is better than yesterday because of what you choose to do, not because of the heavy-handed mandates of an authoritarian government under Joe Biden. It's in that I wish you all the best. I look forward to seeing you all around home. As always, it is an honor.